Humanity had descended to such depths of corruption that God deemed the world in its current form beyond redemption. In this week's Parsha Noach, God informs Noach of his plan to bring a devastating flood that will wipe out all life and begin anew, with Noach as the foundation for this fresh start. After nearly a century since God first instructed Noach to build an ark and gather the animals, the flood finally arrives, just as promised. The Torah's account of the destruction is striking in both its starkness and its repetition. It emphasizes that all flesh perished, the birds of the sky, the land animals, the creeping creatures, and all of humanity. And then, again, it states that anything that lived and possessed a soul was extinguished. The result is a total erasure of life from the face of the earth, with one exception: Noach and those with him in the ark. This vivid portrayal is undeniably graphic, but also repetitive, essentially saying the same thing in different ways. Wouldn't a simple statement that everything died have sufficed? Why the need for such detailed enumeration? The Tosefta in Sanhedrin teaches that the Torah's detailed account is not mere repetition. It serves to underscore the absolute totality of what occurred. The annihilation was not only physical, it was spiritual as well. Those who perished in the flood lost not just their earthly lives, but also forfeited any share in the world to come. Rav David Tzvi Hoffman offers a similar interpretation, though his focus is solely on the physical reality. The repetition, he argues, highlights the sheer extent of the devastation. The destruction was so complete, so overwhelming, that no living creature remained, except for Noach and those with him in the ark. This foreigner presents a slightly different perspective. He sees the repetition not as emphasis on the scale of destruction, but as a precise accounting of what actually was wiped out. According to the Torah, only creatures that lived on land and possessed a soul were destroyed, namely animals and humans. Vegetation, however, was spared. Plant life survived in both its full form and seed form. This explains how, when Noach later sends out the dove, it returns with an olive branch, evidence that the earth retained the potential for regeneration. Taken together, along with the Torah's stress that only Noach and those with him survived, these perspectives don't just emphasize what was lost. They point us toward what was preserved, and perhaps why. The Torah tells us that God, in our words, deleted humanity from the world, but not without leaving a seed for renewal. The Midrash teaches that God built and destroyed worlds over time. That's what happened here. A world was destroyed, but this time the possibility to begin again was safeguarded through Noach. Perhaps it was a kind of sifting process. From Adam to Noach, God was searching, not for perfection, but for someone who could carry forward the potential to bring the whole world to something better. Noach wasn't without his flaws, but within him were the building blocks of a brighter future. He had the capacity to pass down a legacy of righteousness, even if it would take generations to see it emerge in his descendants. In that sense, the flood can be understood through the halachic lens of constructive destruction, the malacha of boneh, building, which sometimes requires tearing down in order to rebuild. The flood wasn't an end, it was a reset. A purposeful act of destruction that laid the groundwork for a new and better beginning, helping to bring God's plan for the world closer to its fulfillment. Shabbat Shalom.